Hello, thank you for listening to the Moist Boys Reviews. This is Josh. I just wanted to take a moment to tell you about the Anchor.fm app. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so you can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. What's up, everybody? This is Josh. Thank you for listening to the Moist Boys Reviews. Today, this episode, I'm talking about Underwater, the newest film from William Eubank. You might know him from other films. The Signal in 2014, apparently, which I did not see, so I cannot make any value judgments on that. I'm just going to be able to talk about this film and how I felt about it. So this film stars Kristen Stewart, Jessica Henwick, T.J. Miller, Vincent Cassell, John Gallagher Jr., and I'm going to completely butcher this name, so I apologize to humanity in advance. Mamoudou Athie, I believe. You might recognize him if you watch British television. I know he's been in a lot of British shows and movies, so... but yeah, it's a small cast of characters, a very bottle movie type of film. This film takes place in a in the Marianas Trench, deep under the water, in an underwater drilling site. The crew of the drill end up in some sort of calamity where their underwater station gets damaged and they have to make it out to survive. Pretty simple story. Things may not be as they seemed. If you've seen the trailer, you know that there is something out there that may or may not be out to get them. Not a whole lot to say about this film. It's a pretty basic premise. Essentially this film comes down to execution rather than any sort of elaborate plot. And on that sense, I would say that the filmmakers were mostly successful in creating a tense thriller here. And if I did have I have two main complaints about the film. The first being that there is a framing tool that they use, and I guess I can spoil it here. It's not a huge spoiler, but there is voiceover narration work from Kristen Stewart that I don't think it really goes anywhere or really adds to this story, and I found it more distracting than anything else. And I feel like if they had been cut out, this film would have worked just as well. And that would be my complaint on that. The other one would be that this film is it's more of a thriller than a horror film. There is not a lot of creepiness to it. There are several jump scares, a little bit of creepiness towards the middle to second half that works really well, that I would have preferred if they had leaned more into that than just straight up jump scares. Other than that, though, this does contain two of my least favorite things in movies, which are underwater scenes and scenes where characters have to crawl through skin-tight passages after the collapse of their underwater station. The pluses, though, I think as lightly sketched as these characters are, because this is not there's not a lot of character development here outside of this quickly as the film goes on. You essentially kind of get a sense of who these characters are. There's not a lot of time spent on backstory for anybody, really, except for maybe Kristen Stewart, Jessica Henwick, and John Gallagher Jr. Pretty much everyone else is just who they are, trying to get out of the situation. But all the performances are good, particularly for those of you that watched Iron Fist on Netflix. It's always good to see Jessica Henwick appear in things. She does a good job here. Everyone does a good job. Essentially, Kristen Stewart is able to carry the film as the central character here that you follow throughout the film, and she does a good job, even if, as I said before, the narration does not particularly work for me. There is a twist at the end that I will not spoil here, but and it's not really a twist that you have to wait for that kind of changes anything. It's just the circumstances around the film change. And I really liked the twist that comes in here, and I thought it was a really cool twist. It maybe if it had appeared more in the film, I would have liked the film more, but as it was, I think it does what it does and does it particularly well. For whatever reason, this film got lost in the Disney purchase of Fox. So it was actually shot back in 2017, and it's now just being kind of dumped in January. But I think if you like tense thrillers that are well constructed and well shot, well acted, and outside of maybe some minor points here there, well written, then I think this is the film for you. So I'm going to give Underwater 7 Clooney's out of 10. Thank you for listening to the Moist Boys Views. Check out the Moist Boys podcast for more content every week, as well as the After Show podcast for those of you that are watching The Mandalorian or His Dark Materials. If you want to listen to a podcast about each of those episodes, you can head over to the After Show podcast. Thank you for listening, and we'll be back next time.